Fellowship of the Broken, Making Sense of 12-Step Recovery by Angelo. Chapter 51. Before I Am. This chapter starts with a series of statements decreasing in length that creates the appearance of an inverted triangle. Before suffering from addiction, I am. Before the personal mind, I am. Before any word or language, I am. Before breathing in and out, I am. Before becoming a human, I am. Before emergence of life, I am. Before the unified field, I am. Before all movement, I am. Before all vibration, I am. Before existence, I am. Before knowing, I am. Before thinking, I am. Before sensing, I am. Before sound, I am. Before peace, I am. Before unity, I am. Before space, I am. Before time, I am. Before love, I am. Before I am. Before I. 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 The triangular paragraph above is my attempt to represent and summarize all that we have covered in the preceding 50 chapters. The triangle can be interpreted from bottom up and from top down. Both directions encapsulate perennial wisdom and provide us with an image of the journey of discovery that is available to all of us. Working from the bottom up, the space around the words and in between the words represents the infinite and eternal source from which the whole of creation arises. The source is aware of itself as I. This is pure awareness. There is nothing to be aware of other than this. The first thought arising out of this I is the concept of I. This is non-physical consciousness, awareness, knowingness, universal mind, spirit, or being. It is also infinite and eternal. The source I is aware of the I of consciousness, and it is aware that it is prior to consciousness. The source I exists before the concept of I, and knows its existence through the sense I am. Consciousness also senses its own existence, and its essential nature is happiness, peace, love, and unity. Out of this non-personal consciousness arises the concepts of time and space. This level of consciousness is now limited by its own conceptual boundaries. The levels of consciousness give rise to the next level, and the limitations gradually increase. Sensing, thinking, vibration, and movement are all levels of consciousness in motion, and these combine to form what is known scientifically as the unified field. This field of consciousness gives rise to all forces, waves, and particles out of which the manifest world flashes in and out of existence. The system is self-aware and self-knowing, and it evolves through its own experience. gradually the configuration of the unified field produces multitudinous forms of life. The sense of I am exists in all of these life forms, but there are also mechanisms based on self-centered fear to ensure survival. One particular expression of all of this complexity is the genus Homo sapiens. Human beings live and breathe. They develop language in order to communicate. They each believe themselves to be the individual body and mind, and develop a sense of personal identity. Consciousness is processed through the brain, but the personal self claims these thoughts for itself. Thoughts, feelings and behaviours become dominated by self-centered fear and cause personal suffering. The original sense of I am is secondary to the localized ego version and is gradually lost. The personal ego self is now seemingly estranged from its source and seeks ways to satisfy the inherent dis-ease. Substances and behaviours seem to bring satisfaction, but the relief is temporary. Repeated use of these coping strategies leads to addiction and to even more suffering. The personal self has created its own individual and collective version of hell. The suffering exists at the surface level of consciousness in the form of the personal ego self. However, the deeper levels of consciousness are non-personal and hence do not suffer. All experience is a vibration and movement of consciousness and is known by consciousness. There is nothing but consciousness, and hence there is no concept of good or bad experience. It is all just an incredible and wondrous expression of its own creativity. It all arises from the source I, and it is all an expression of the source I. The entire universe is created in the universal mind of I, so that the I can love and experience itself. This is the purpose of creation. You may not believe these words, but words and belief only exist in the realm of the personal ego mind. Consciousness has no need for belief. It knows. Consciousness simply knows that I am. The Sanskrit words for this state of being are Sat, Chit, Ananda. These translate as existence, consciousness, bliss. Human beings knew all about consciousness over 5,000 years ago. We've made tremendous material progress since then, but this has simply pushed us further up the triangle and away from the underlying reality of existence. If we now start at the top of the triangle and work our way down, then we can immediately see the direction of all spiritual journeys. This will be the same journey, whatever religion or spiritual tradition we may subscribe to. 12-step recovery is just one of these traditions, and it is a process and fellowship designed to help addicts escape from the surface suffering and return to their own true nature. It is, therefore, far more important than just achieving sobriety, although this will be one of the many beneficial outcomes. The journey starts with suffering. Without suffering, there is little reason for human beings to look deeply within themselves for a solution. There are some who undertake the journey simply through curiosity, but for most of us, we need a reason. Often this reason needs to be compelling. The suffering of addiction provides this reason. and it will progress until we feel compelled to change. Once we engage in recovery, we firstly come to understand that the body is addicted, but that it's the personal fear-based ego mind that is ultimately giving rise to the addiction. We are told that the solution needs to be spiritual, and we begin to use the spiritual toolkit. As we practice self-awareness, self-contemplation and self-forgetting, we gradually step back in awareness. We come to understand that there's more to our consciousness than we had previously realized. We find that there is a non-physical aspect to ourselves that is able to witness all activity of the personal ego mind. The journey now begins in earnest. The more we practice, the deeper we go. We begin to find that there is awareness of a non-personal consciousness that is observing the personal non-physical witness. As this awareness deepens, the deeper positions provide a broader perspective that is increasingly less personal. This consciousness has the qualities of happiness, peace, love, and unity, and we experience these qualities in our lives. We finally start to see that there is an I that exists prior to all manifestation, and that we must be this I because we are the one who is here to perceive everything in front of us. We continue to practice with the toolkit, and the experience continues to deepen. Old patterns of thinking, feeling and behaving fall away in the light of this new understanding. Wisdom emerges and the true nature of reality begins to be revealed. The journey never ends, but the personal ego self gradually melts away and becomes increasingly less significant. Abiding as non-personal consciousness, we find that we already are the very things that we've been seeking our whole lives. The entire world is seen in a different light. There is nothing more to do other than to be present in each moment and move in accordance with the will of consciousness, which is now our will. Consciousness is infinite and eternal. These are the ultimate prizes. We have escaped from hell and found heaven whilst still here on earth. We look around and see that so many others are suffering. We cannot preach to them because they will not hear what we are saying. All we can do is be our true selves and lead by example. 12-step recovery is a spiritual solution to the spiritual problem of human existence. The prodigal son travels far away and then returns home. The being becomes human and then returns to being. This is the natural flow of consciousness. This is the intended purpose of life. There's no substitute for the individual spiritual journey. Each transformation is intentionally unique. We can read as many books as we like, but nothing will happen unless we engage fully in the process of change. It doesn't matter which path we choose, provided that the path leads all the way to the beginning. There are many paths that stop short of revelation. We can spend our whole lives travelling these paths, yet never find what we are looking for. The great irony of spirituality in all of its guises is that we already are here and always have been. We are looking for our true self. The end of the road is the beginning. I can only speak from my own experience, but based on all that we have covered so far, I can confidently make the following 6 statements. They are all true, and they each become progressively closer to the truth. My given name is Michael. Michael is an addict. I am not Michael. I am being. I am I. This is the solution to addiction. Michael is an addict, but I am far more than that. And this is true for all of us.